Hey everyone, it is late at night and I'm Norman. Tonight we're going to be looking at some pretty interesting watches that I've stumbled upon. So let us begin. The first watch that I found, or rather bunny trail of watches that I found, comes to us from Pinterest. And this watch is an Arduino watch. So this particular watch was just an image link on Pinterest. However, when you go to the link that I have in the show notes below, the related images and pins are super interesting as well, and some of those are actually projects where you can build the watches yourself. This one may have been, but this particular pin is just an image. These watches are super cyberpunk style, and they really don't have cases, so keep them away from any kind of moisture. Yeah. But I like the blue color of the circuit board on this one, and the display looks great. The crazy pins sticking off of the board are wild. And unlike some of the related images, this one looks fairly complete. Some of them almost look like they're projects that aren't quite done yet. Like this one, which looks pretty good, but the wires that are used for the strap, I don't know. I feel like if this one had a better strap, it would be a much cooler looking piece. That display looks great though. And it looks fairly small. Some of them can be pretty chunky. I did stumble upon a Nixie tube watch by Numatron. This showed up in the related pins, and this piece looks pretty good. I've seen these in the past, but they're always kind of huge. This one looks to be a bit smaller, and when it's lit up from a distance, it almost looks like an LED screen. But when it's not lit up, you can see the tubes. This would be a cool piece to see in person. What a fun conversation starter. Then there's this one, and this is not only cyberpunk and crazy looking, but it's also a binary watch, so it's extra nerdy. I love how the light up binary numbers are done in two different colors. So you have red lights and blue lights. And the way they're just kind of nestled into the circuit board. They're kind of camouflaged in there. And that strap is very interesting. I mean, if you're going to use wires to make a strap for a watch, this is how you do it. Not just two wires looped around your wrist. You do it like this one. But yeah, I'll have to go back into that link and explore these further because they're pretty crazy looking. I'll have to see what other interesting cyberpunk projects there are that show up on Pinterest. I do love me some cyberpunk stuff. The next piece on my list comes to us from Watch Pro site. And this was simply a picture of a triangle Patek Philippe. And given the title, 2028 Patek Sneak Preview, I'm assuming this is just a render, but it sure looks realistic. But how would this even be worn? So weird. Yeah, it's probably just photoshopped actually. But a bracelet like that would be interesting. But this is a fun little render shopped image that someone came up with. And the comment section is very interesting as well, because the title that the poster gave it is the Triangitus. So there were lots of Harry Potter jokes in the comments. So I went online to see if there actually are any triangular Patek Philippe's, and I found one single image. This interesting piece right here. And I have to say that the Watch Pro site image, actually the case looked much cooler than this one. If this one had that person's design for the case head itself, this wouldn't look bad at all. Maybe. I mean, that bracelet's wrong. I actually think that person's design in general is pretty cool. If the bracelet was standard in that it came straight off of the top of the triangle, that would be a kind of cool looking watch. You know, way back in the day, I actually had a triangle watch. Way before I was a watch nerd. It was a really cool watch, and I have no idea where I found it or what happened to it. It was a triangle, and then the top of it had a ring, and that was how that part of the strap attached to it. The dial was kind of weird. I forget what all was on it. I know one of the hour markers was a feather, and there were some other things. It wasn't fun, crazy secret society stuff. It was like just random things. But yeah, that was a super cool watch. The next watch on my list is something that I found on eBay, and this is the Lightning watch. So it's described as a vintage fast track leather watch. And the whole thing is kind of shaped like a lightning bolt. And the dial is black and white, divided right down the middle. This is such a crazy design. I've never seen anything quite like this. And it looks like it's sold for $15. I mean, the shipping is more expensive than what the watch sold for. I don't see any mention of whether it works or not or any details on this watch. But that is such a crazy design. Look at the weird hour markers that go along the sides of the dial there. Just 3 of them on each side. And then at the top there's a logo. This is very avant-garde. And fun and creative, I like it. Now I had a bunch of other watches that I had found, but they've been sitting in my notes for a while. And when I went to pull them up on eBay, the listings were completely gone. A lot of times, even after they end, you'll be able to pull them up for a while. But yeah, they totally went away. But I do have one more. And this is a Hatch watch that I found on eBay. Now, it's listed as a vintage watch, men's silver tone, stainless steel classic retro black quartz dial. So apparently this is a quartz piece, but this design is straight out of BioShock. So the bracelet looks like it has hatches on it, so it kind of carries that whole theme into the bracelet. The watch itself actually has a hatch that opens up. I mean, we've seen this in other designs, but this one is very interesting. That just looks crazy. The watch dial underneath the hatch is super minimal. It has thick stick hands on it. It's a 3-hander. It says quartz at the 6 o'clock. And there's a square metal bit at the 12 o'clock. And what's hilarious is you'll notice that this hatch that protects this watch did not do its job. That crystal is in rough shape. I feel like with a hatch like this, that thing should be pristine. I mean, nothing is getting through those grill holes on that. It kind of looks like a storm drain or a knight with a square head. And what is going on with this tube on the side of the case? Oh, see, I thought at the 6 o'clock there was a crown, but I think that is actually the button that opens the hatch. So that tube used to be the crown. That's what's going on. So yeah, this watch is in not great shape. I'm still marveling at the crystal though. But what a crazy design. So there you have it, some interesting watches that I've encountered. I will keep my eyes open for more. Thanks for watching.